You're listening to Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles, episode 70, featuring Amazing Spider-Man number 214 and Uncanny X-Men number 143 from December 1980. Hello and welcome to the 70th episode of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles podcast. I am your host, Pat, aka DJ Chris Statos. Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles is a podcast that will journal the Amazing Spider-Man comic book series, read chronologically by their release date, along with another comic from my comic book collection, either in digital, in a trade, or from the many long boxes stashed away in my basement. Each episode will provide short recaps, reviews, and ratings of the issues for that release date. The goal is to keep me actively reading through my collection and having fun along the way, talking about them with my friends. And speaking about my friends, for this big 70th episode, I have...
Woo! 70! Woo!
Woo!
What rhymes with 70?
11T.
11T. Let's go ahead and introduce Jared Albrecht, a.k.a. Death Probe, the yard sale artist.
Can it be 70? All right, here we go.
Oh, there we go.
I brought, you know what? It's kind of becoming my thing via Crusade Miss, and it's now infecting other shows. I brought a joke for you, Pat.
Oh, a Christmas joke?
It's a Chronicles joke.
Okay.
And this one is by my son, Jay West Allen Albrecht, 8.5 years old. Specifically asked me to tell this joke on the show. So prepare yourselves for the greatness, because it's not bad.
Why isn't Jay telling it?
He's not here, but he asked me to tell it. So he asked me to give you guys this one. Okay, all right, here you go, Pat. You ready? You ready? Here it comes. What do you call Spider-Man when he's eaten too much Mexican food?
Ooh, I try to put my mind frame in Jay to see what would be funny, and I have some funny stuff, but it's probably
He made sure it was nice and clean for the show.
okay.
Okay,
Well, I'm sure it would be.
Gas or something, but I can't.
Gas Man?
He's called the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Oh,
That's pretty
Chip
good.
off the old vlog, Jay. Good job.
That's my boy, ladies and gentlemen. Back to you, Pat.
Apple doesn't far fall from the tree.
oh, that was a good one. Tell Jay we appreciate that one. All I want is like the little head Spider-Man, with a bunch of tacos in his mouth or something like that, and make a shirt for Jay or something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Get right on it.
All right. Well, joining us also is Jason Albrecht, a.k.a. Weasel Skull.
Say you, say me, say it together. It's 70. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of tied one on Friday night, and I woke up in an alley, and I was drenched wet, but yet smelled the smoke, and I do not know what happened. So I'm a little hazy today. Head's a little throbbing. Got some blackout moments that I'm trying to go over in my mind, but I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad everything worked out for you, and that you maybe get a shower once in a while or something like that.
Life on the streets is hard.
It's best for all of us.
Yes. All right. Well, now that we know what Jason's been up to, let's go ahead and find out what Delvin the Dark Web Williams has been up to.
Yeah, so as right about the time that I started this podcast, Miranda left the house and I heard some noise up in the attic. I'm not going to investigate. I'm black. So screw that. I'm just going to close the door. The end. Short story. Nope.
That's a big nope.
Good story.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's like, am I going to investigate that? No, absolutely not. I refuse.
Certain writers would still use like 5,000 words to describe your actions of not investigating.
Yes, sir.
You wouldn't even check the vents? Or did you just close all the vents?
I can attest he does not check the vents.
I do for
He said
certain
detest
people.
too. I want to know what I said, which is accurate.
I thought I said a test. Did I say detest?
You said
That was a
detest.
Freudian slip.
Either way.
Either way works.
That was a bigger word than I know, so I couldn't tell you if you used it right or if you used it wrong. But speaking about being right or wrong, we would always love for you to leave us a voicemail that we can play later on in the show. And you can do that by leaving us a voicemail at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
Now, before we get started with this episode's issue, let's take a quick podcast promo break, and we will be right back.
Hey, Jared, I have this idea for a new show for the network.
What is it?
You know how I liked the 1990s comic book series, The New Warriors?
Yes. Yep.
And you know how at the LONGBOX CRUSADE we're trying to get the YouTube channel going?
Yes. Also correct.
Well, thanks. So, how about you and me do a live stream show about the New Warriors? You've never read the books before, and I have them, and so that's a great setup. We could give it a catchy name like Come Out to Play. Don't you think that's the greatest idea?
Sure, Delvin. That's a great idea. Just one question.
Yeah?
Why do you have me dangling off this ledge, holding me by only one arm?
Oh, yeah. Well, you'll get it soon. I hope. Come Out to Play, a New Warriors podcast, comes to you live on YouTube every second Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern on the LONGBOX CRUSADE channel. If you can't watch it there, we replay them on the LONGBOX CRUSADE Network podcast feed, available anywhere podcasts can be found. We invite you to come along for the ride, or in other words, New Warriors, come out to play.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the featured comic for this episode. And it is Amazing Spider-Man number 214. The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Publisher was Marvel. It's got a cover date of March 1981, but its on sale date was December 9th, 1980. Cover price is 50 cents. Editor is Alan Milgram. Writer Dennis J. O'Neill, penciler John Romita Jr., inker Jim Mooney, letterer is James R. Novak, colorist is Bob Sharon. This is reprinted in Essential Spider-Man Volume 10 trade paperback, also on the Marvel Masterworks Volume 283 of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 21. Cover credits go to penciler John Romita Jr. and inker is Alan Milgram. And speaking about the cover, Jared, give us a cover description.
The Marvel Comics group banner is green with yellow lettering, and Spidey is swinging in his green corner box. It's pretty much the same old song. The Amazing Spider-Man logo is yellow with red highlights, and it has the webs. The main action features Namor and Spider-Man shot from behind as they charge into the waiting arms of the Frightful Four. They're basically asking, are you man enough? Apparently, Namor told Spider-Man that if he needs help, reach out and I'll be there. The group of the Frightful Four is made up of Trapster, Wizard, Mysterious Third Person, Standing in the Shadows, and a bad costume Sandman. A cover blurb reads, Spidey and Submariner fight side by side against the Frightful Four. Don't miss the evil FF's new member. I'm sure it ain't no woman.
I feel like I should know this. It's like some 70s group or something. But
I'm doing the same.
It's 60s into 70s, yes.
Yeah. Nah, I know. From the first few ones, I'm like, I think I know
Help us
this
out.
thing.
Help
but-
us
Maybe
out,
the
listener.
famous one was probably the first one because it's the same old song.
I don't know.
Four tops.
With me. There you go, four tops.
Four tops. There we go.
Frightful
Okay.
Four and the
Four,
four tops. Well done. Four
Very
tops
good.
don't get enough love, man.
Very good cover description. Thank you, Jared. And with that, let's go ahead and get to some cover thoughts. And we'll start with Jason. What's your thoughts on the cover?
Simple but effective. I mean, it's pretty crowded. You've got all four of the Frightful Four crammed into the cover. They're crowding into the Amazing Spider-Man space even. And then you've got in the foreground Spider-Man and Namor coming in to battle them. So it kind of tells the story. Okay, the two of these folks are going to kind of patch things up and go into battle against the Frightful Four. It sets the tone for the story, but as a cover, I don't think it really has the gravitas or gripping moment that I've come to expect with some of the Spider-Man titles. So that's why I say simple yet effective. Gives you just what's in the pages, but not anything that I would necessarily hang on my wall.
I think you are correct there from my point of view as well, too. It's the whole white background. It's like, it's all right. I think it's meant to make the characters pop, but do I want to read this? Do I want to pull in and kind of see what's going on? Delvin, what's your thoughts?
I'm with y'all. Al Milgrom, as an inker, as a penciler, has a distinct style. And it's not a style I'm crazy about. For whatever reason, I can tell when his stuff is on the page because I know Romita Jr.'s pencils at this point. And when Mooney was with him in the cover, like the literal first page of this book is better than the cover. The last page of the book is better than this cover. And both of those are inked by Jim Mooney. And for whatever reason, Mooney's inks complement John Romita Jr.'s pencils better than Al Milgrom's inks do. The cover does look crowded for some reason, and it doesn't have to because there's 6 people on there. It's like Romita Jr. was trying to do something, but it just fell a little flat to me. Wasn't the craziest about it. Just real quick, there are a few comments. Kathy says, the cover confuses me. Are they in the air or the ground? Are they fighting, having a discussion? Auburn Elvis says, this one's a 3, but I'm bumping it up for Namor's butt. There are quite a few jokes that he had about Namor's butt. That
Still not America's butt, though. Still not America's butt.
I was trying to class this up and make it sound like he was giving them the locker room smack on the butt, like, go get him, boy. But since Auburn called it out.
Yeah, that's definitely Atlantis' butt, though. It's not America's butt. It's Atlantis' butt.
That's true.
And Jason Keene adds, I have mixed feelings on the Sandman green costume. Isn't this his original costume? Yeah.
No, this is not original. Didn't he get this later on?
Maybe, because we discussed, we have done enough of these Spidey Chronicles now that we did a issue of his, it's been some years back.
Yeah.
But he had this costume on as well.
Yeah, I do remember that one. Very good comments and observations from the chat. Jarrett, what's your thoughts on the cover?
Largely echo what you guys say. It really smacks of rush job, I think, is what you've got going on here. I think they were like, oh, we got to get this out the door quick. Hence, no background, just basic superhero layouts. My suspicion is John Romita Jr. did breakdowns and $10 Al did the finishes. And no great shakes, but I mean, it gets the point across. Other things that I don't like about it, just as a comic creator point, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I make comics sometimes. I do say, why would you put the 2 purple guys right next to each other?
Good point.
I don't like that. You could have balanced purple. You should have put Wizard on the far right. Should have swapped Wizard and Sandman. That probably would have worked better. But I mean, again, it's not bad. It's better than pretty much anything I can draw. But it's all right.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and see what you guys thought of this cover in our official Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles rating system. And it is a 1 through 5 system. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, you just liked it. It's average. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It ruffled your tummy feathers. It just don't. You just, got to go clockwise. Can't go counter. Don't go counter.
Never counter.
With that, let's go ahead and find out what we thought. Delvin, we'll start with you.
You just went counter. You say never go counter, and then you go counter.
On the tummy feathers. He's not rubbing my feathers.
Unenthusiastic 3. It's a 3. It's and just looking at a few that have come in, Botboy Versus gives it a 3. Jason King says it's a solid 3. And Kathy gives it a 2, saying that she wasn't enthusiastic about it. And Auburn Elvis did not give us a number. I'll just leave it at that.
We'll go to Jason then. Continuing counterclockwise.
I noticed. Well, I'm not quite as low as Kathy's 2, although I can understand where she's coming from. Like I said, it's still an effective cover. I give it a little bit of leeway because it is kind of tough to get 6 people on the cover. And when you're advertising the Frightful Four, it's kind of hard to shortchange that. You kind of have to get all 4 of them on there. Mm-hmm. So it's effective in the way that it did it. But, there's not a lot of enthusiasm for me here either. So I'm kind of where Delvin is at, is a flat 3.
Flat 3. Okay. Not enthusiastic, but a flat 3. You're just like, it's just a 3. All right. Jared, are you enthusiastic? Are you flat? Where are you at?
It's a 3 with that noise. It's like, Giving it a 3 with a, I mean, basically it's a 3 because it's Ramita Jr. It's like, this is like his warning. Like, don't turn this kind of homework in again, Ramita Jr. Like, I'll give you the 3, but if you do this again, we'll see.
We know he can do better.
Yeah.
We know he can do better. And I'm blaming TDAM, on this $10
TDAM.
TDAM.
Well, we can see both TDAM and Al Milgram at Heroes Con, so we can let him know what we think of this cover. But he looks like he works out quite a lot, so I'll probably just say nice things.
Your muscles look good. All right. Well, I think it's time to knock on that door, guys, because it is a 3 for me.
Come and knock on our door.
It's a
We're waiting for
you. Don Knotts is like just slowly rolling the eyes.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, Jack Tripper just like, stubs his toe on the couch instead of completely falling over it. Yeah. Hurts.
The girls are all bundled up in bulky bathrobes.
Ramita Jr., decent artwork. Just seems like there was something missing on it, and I wish I could put my finger on it, but I can't. With that, Alba Narvis does give it a 4, so good on you.
Don't know how, but you know what? It's not my rating.
All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get to a story synopsis for this issue. And that is brought to you by Delvin. While attending a demonstration in radiology, high school student Peter Parker was bitten by a spider which had accidentally been exposed to radioactive rays. Through a miracle of science, Peter soon found that he had gained the spider's powers and had, in effect, become a human spider, a Spider-Man. Stanley presents The Amazing Spider-Man.
The title of this issue is Then Shall We Both Be Betrayed? The cliffhanger of last issue leaves Spidey on top of his burning apartment building trying to save a drunk bum. He does so thanks to quick thinking and a waterbed and escapes. The wizard ain't happy, but his mysterious companion is like, no more chances. We do my thing now. Pete, now homeless, gets to crash in a swank hotel with a great room, but the same problems as his apartment complex. The loud country singer, which is going to turn out to be that short dude, and the beautiful woman he's super attracted to. Back to her in a second. Mystery Person and the Wizard go back to Rikers Island and break out the Sandman and Trapster. A spy of Namor observes the whole thing and reports back to Namor, which gives a hint as to who the mysterious person is. It might surprise you that Namor took this news angrily. I know, me too. Settle down, we're getting to the good part. Namor and Spidey, round 2 happens, and this time it's personal because Namor attacks the lady Pete was making time with. Dun dun dun! Namor is about to get the upper hand on Spider-Man, but then it is the newly formed Frightful Four who makes their appearance, with the mysterious person turning out to be Lyra. Who? Anyway, Wizard blasts Spidey and Namor with a doodad thingamagiggle, and the heroes fall to suffer a fate we do not know at the end of this issue. Back to you, Pat.
Thank you, Delvin, for that awesome synopsis. And I was befuddled as well, too, as who is Lyra?
No idea. I don't know. Who the hell is that?
Well, I was hoping I was like, oh, maybe
they waited almost 2 issues. It's like, I'm Lyra. Who? I don't know who you are. That was not a reveal. I don't care. Sorry.
Oh, well, we'll get into it.
Clearly, you guys have not read enough issues of whatever the hell she's in.
Some Mariner number 7 or something like that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the bric-a-brac so we can actually get to the meat and potatoes of this issue. And we'll start off with, is it a first read or a reread? And we'll start with Jared. First read or reread?
This will be a first read for me, Pat. I read it before, I don't remember, so it counts as a first read.
Okay. Jason, first read or reread?
First read for me as well.
Delvin?
Wanted that pregnant pause. If I just said it right away, Pat would have, I couldn't have left.
I'm on the seat of my seat here.
I know. You could just taste the anticipation. It's a it's a first read for me, Pat.
Butterflies in the sky.
It's a first read for me too.
Twice as high.
Oh man. I love it.
See, it was worth the payoff, right?
It was, yes. Yeah.
The thing I like about the live stream is, you can fake that enthusiasm with the voice, but I can see his eyes light up.
Right. He was genuinely happy. That was awesome.
Genuine joy in that man's face.
No, I did ask because it's fun, and when I edit and I get to put it in there, it's like, oh, I'm happy I smile again too when I re-edit these. So lots of fun. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get to some more highs and lows about this. And we'll start with Jared. Give us a high, a low, or a what the?
I guess I'll give it a high for new setting. And by that, I mean putting Peter Parker in the swanky hotel with the big room. That was pretty cool. I like to see him, Pete catch a break every once in a while, And so I liked that. And I'll start off with that upbeat moment. Let others weigh in on it if you want.
It was pretty cool that they put them up in that neat hotel with some cool amenities in there. How long are they actually going to be there, though? That's a long, the way that building was coming down.
He said until the building was repaired. And that looks like that's going to be a couple of year project right there.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, if I were them, about every 4 or 5 months or so, I just pay some oh no, the building set back on fire again. Oh no. Total accident.
The Human Torch helped his friend Peter Parker.
He owed them a favor. Oh, speaking about that, and so Peter had to move. Did he have his only suit with him? Didn't we see a closet full of some suits? And what people go through and start to see his suits and go, hey, why is there Spider-Man suits in this closet?
I'm thinking safe to say that most of that stuff burnt the heck down because that entire building was made out of paper mache. They were living in basically a high-rise slum from what it seemed like because it burnt down so easily. So, I doubt that any of the spider suits I think if it were a worthy plot point that Pete, who worries about everything, probably would have said it. But even he just assumed, everything just burned down in the building, so no one's going to find a Spider-Man cartridge and think anything about it.
Jason, high, low, or what the?
I'm going to give it a high. I enjoy these books a lot when they capture a lot of the essence of Spider-Man. And this did that. When you open with the rescue of the drunk guy on the top of the building, who he doesn't know, this guy will never know even that Spider-Man saved his life and all the effort that it took and how he put his life at risk to save him. That says a lot about the character. Jared mentioned that old Parker luck and getting to see his luck about to change by getting into that hotel. And yet his luck still just doesn't, because he still has roommates next to that person that's keeping awake at all hours singing those country songs. So it's funny, see him kind of take things in stride and then like, yep, well, wouldn't you know it, I still have to deal with this country singer. There's some great action in the book. It shows off his power set as Spider-Man. But really, I think this does a good job of just capturing a lot of the essence of who Spider-Man is, who Peter Parker is. And I always enjoy those type of stories.
Very good. A lot of good observation. Delvin, do you have a high, low, or what the?
I'll give a high. I'm going to kind of meld two highs, and they're not related, so I'm cheating somewhat. As I mentioned, the first and last page of the book, we talk about John Byrne's artwork a lot, but that first page with Pete like saving the bum from the fire, that was a great piece of artwork. And the last page where you have Namor and Spider-Man suffering after being shot by whatever and is doing whatever, we don't know what it's doing, and the frightful four stands fully revealed. That was a great piece of artwork too. So just want to give a legend his flowers and just say that those are great looking pages. Those were the reason why this man was on the book in the first place and why he has continued to get invited back to the book. You know what? I won't cheat. I will. No, yeah, I will. Screw it. Since it's the week of my birthday, Jason, which is super important to me, I'm going to go ahead and cheat and do a second one. And that is the fight itself. Like Namor and Spider-Man, once again, they went at it. And I don't know, I liked it. It was a good fight. It was a good dynamic fight where both of them had reasons to not fight, but both of them had reasons to fight as well. It was cool that they were sort of trying to talk about it. It was like, we could talk about it, but I kind of want to hit you in the face again. So I'm gonna hit you in the face. I'm gonna opt to do that. And so yeah, I like that there was genuine animosity towards them. It didn't have to necessarily be I hate you, you hate me.
No, it's more of a buddy, like watching Hulk and Thor kind of push each other around to see who's strongest.
Yeah, you could tell it's like, I was kind of unsatisfied at last one. We ended that too peacefully. Let's just fight some more. So they did. But it was a good fight.
I'm wondering, and perhaps Albert and Elvis in the chat could tell us, power-wise, are they both the same? Strength power-wise?
Namor is more powerful.
More powerful. Until it gets weakened down.
If you get Namor in water, he is
super strong, yeah.
On the power level, I'd say like Thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Thing is exactly the person I was thinking of. Maybe a little bit more powerful if he's angry and pissed off. He's not Hulk powerful, but in the water, he could hold Hulk at bay. Out of the water, he is more than a physical match for Spider-Man until he starts to weaken. Because they even said in the book, Spider-Man, like at first, like laid one right on him and trying to like knock him out. And it really just kind of made Namor mad. And that speaks to Namor's power level. Auburn Elvis answers that the Submariner is monstrous like the Thing.
Okay.
And Hulk, in comparison, is unearthly.
He can get up to Shift X, though. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding, but
I know you're right. I was like, man, I haven't heard that phrase in a while.
I don't know what that is, but
it's from the RPG.
Role-playing game. Yeah, you kind of took mine, Delvin. So I'm going to just jump in and butt in here and say the art of that battle was also outstanding. You mentioned that scene where Spider-Man lays one on him. Holy cow, that was a good punch, and it was really graphically represented in the comic. You could tell it's just a brutal fight, the two of them just laying into one another. So hats off to John Romita Jr. for penciling a great action sequence.
I have a what the, and we kind of mentioned it earlier on with this villain person, who she is the way they were portraying it. Am I the only one that was thinking that this girl that Spider-Man likes or lives there is her, or has something to, I don't know why Namor was going after her unless she was the villain, like, somehow she.
Oh, yeah. He's saying she's the villain.
And so she turns into this girl? I don't know. But, okay. Am I the one that was thinking? Am I the only one that was thinking that?
No, I that was going to be one of my what does as well, Pat. Okay. I wasn't sure if she was wearing like an image inducer and that was her the whole time, or if this is a separate character that Namor also has a mad on about. So I'm not sure. I'm with you, Pat.
Because I thought she was on the rooftop the last time. I'm like, well, how can she be there when the villain was over across the roof watching and going on? But maybe I'm misreading it or mislooked at it so well.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure why Namor just burst into the hotel and said, "Yes, you're the bad guy." Like, that's not what
the person that gave him the intel told him that. And
yeah,
maybe I was duped, but I thought they were right. I was like, oh, that person who gave me the intel has been spying the whole time and put the puzzle together. I just assumed they were correct.
I hope not, because I don't want to see that. I want to see Spider-Man and Peter, kind of, get together for a little bit here, maybe, possibly. He's like,
it looks like whatever was going on, whatever they got blasted with, is something that's going to link Spidey and Namor for another issue or so, because I have no idea what it is. Like, this is the whole thing. This whole era of Spidey, I have the issues, but I guess I did not sit down and read them. I don't remember, so I don't know what's going to happen next issue. I am on the hook just as much as y'all are.
Any comments into the
Yes,
chat?
there is one Auburn Elvis mentioned that as comparison, monstrous strength is a 75, unearthly is a 100. For comparison, Delvin after his jiu-jitsu training is a 10. He missed a 0. He missed a 0. That's it.
Have you not seen Delvin lifting these big tractor tires and doing all these, lifting those big balls?
Yeah.
Anything to help out at my house.
I charge a flat rate of $1,000 an hour, Jared. And for you, I'll give a discount, $9.95. $9.95 an hour.
That ain't bad.
$995.
Yeah. Okay.
He gets this. That's a $5 discount. I'd hold on to that one.
That'd buy you a bottle of water. Jared, do you have a high, low, or what the?
Yeah, and it revolves around the lady villain, the blah, 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 little
Water lady?
Water lady. I just want to give him props for these. I don't know, is the most easily dupable dude on the planet, but the build up to this, where she was always in shadow, like last issue, the whole time I thought it was another dude. The whole time. And when we revealed it was a lady, and I was like, what? And then it made me go back and look at the cover again, and I do see a little highlight around the breast area on the cover now, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm easily duped. Maybe I'm pulled a pad on this one.
No,
but the whole time I was genuinely surprised about who it was.
I was duped as well with the last issue. I'm like, just some kind of a guy. And even in the beginning of this is like, is this some kind of guy? And then we find out that it's the lady. But that's where I'm like, well, how can the lady be this girl? I just don't get it. But it's comics.
Yeah. Jared, you have read some Namor before. Do you know who Lyra is?
I don't. I feel bad. Like, maybe I should. I've been dipping my toe in the John Byrne era of the 90s. And I don't remember right off the top of my head. So that tells me either no, I didn't run across it, or she wasn't memorable enough to remember. But to be fair, I've only read maybe 4 or 5 issues of it. So who's to say, other than someone who's read more than me?
Which is not me. I have never collected Namor ever. Not ever.
Nor me.
I have not been a collector. I picked some up here and there as well. If it was a crossover event, I would get it. But yeah, not too much of Namor knowledge here. Jason, you got a high, low, or what the?
I was gonna do the what the on on revealing who the woman is and not having any idea who the woman is. I gotta imagine we're not the only ones that were a little surprised and maybe a bit let down. I was really expecting a major character reveal, so it was just a little bit disappointing for me to tease me along for a couple of issues and then reveal it to be some character I know nothing about. I don't understand what the point was of that.
Who were the being betrayed?
Also good question.
Who wronged her? Did Spider-Man wrong her, or was she trying to get Namor there so Spider-Man can take out Namor?
Well, it was explained, right, that she tried to court Namor, and Namor's like, no. And she was like, I'm going to kill you then, or I tried to kill his girl, or something like that.
Yeah, there's some bad blood. And I think there was some sort of deal that was made where I don't think she really gave a rip about Spider-Man, but she made the deal that Wizard or Tinker or whoever it was could have a crack at Spider-Man. And then when that went south, she's like, okay, now you come help me with this Namor problem that I got. I think Namor and Spider-Man are kind of being drawn together just because of the chemistry of the villains. The villain, some of the villains want a shot at Spider-Man. And this woman, whoever she is, that busted them all out, she really has a design to get some sort of revenge on Namor. And she's calling in the chits at this point. She's like, okay, you had your shot. Now we're going to take on Namor. But it just so happens that Namor and Spider-Man are together. So I don't know. It's some sort of karmic circle that's brought them all together, I guess. Still entertaining, though.
It was. I just found it very interesting and looking forward to see where it turns out. Delvin, do you have a high, low, or what the?
I'll read a couple of comments. Basically, I've been looking at Auburn Elvis' stuff, and he's given a little bit of background. Basically, wait till next issue to figure out, what happened with the whole what they were shot with thing. And he agrees that they drew it so you think it was a dude breaking them out of jail, but it was Lyra all along. She tried to take over Atlantis, and she joined up with Tiger Shark for a bit, who I have heard of. And after this, she tries to marry Thamor, but he's like, talk to the gills. Okay, he said talk to the hand, but I just tried to be funny. And Jason Keane asked, does she join Alpha Flight later on? Of which I don't know, because again, it's Lyra and no one knows anything about it except Auburn Elvis. And I saw a comment also by Courtney asked about the relationship between Namor and Namorita. Namorita is Namor's cousin. So that one I knew the answer to. All of that to say, I don't since I double dipped in the first round, Pat, I don't have much of anything for the second round, other than I'll just comment that I do think the storyline overall is intriguing. I'm happy that we have reached the point again where there is a consistent story going on in Spider-Man. So when I saw that Namor was back in this book, I'm like, okay, Namor was in the book a couple of issues ago. So it wasn't just a one-off. It was more of just an introduction to Namor so that when he was a part of this main storyline, then we can have a little bit of continuity, which I dig. So I'm happy to see that Spider-Man is progressing along this pace again, because it just makes for an easier book for us to cover rather than just the one-shots that we know aren't connecting really to anything.
I would agree with that. That was going to be one of my highlights for this issue is the storytelling that is going on, the layering that's happening here. And for this particular one, we really didn't stray anywhere else on other characters. There's no Jonah. There's no anything going on at the Bugle or anything like that. There's no other side things besides...
No Aunt May.
Yeah, no Aunt May. No other really story, just with Peter and, now he's out of his apartment and the continued him trying to maybe get a relationship with that lady. Well, obviously, maybe not anymore. I don't know. Or maybe they could, maybe they could once she goes to jail or whatever, maybe he can see her on visits. Who knows?
She's good looking, man. Namor's going to have to come at me with some evidence.
Exactly. That's before I start. No wonder why Spider-Man was like, hey, I was just getting with this lady and you come all busted in here. What's going on?
Cod blocker.
Get it? Hey, I will say this much. I did think that Pete was almost irrationally angry. Like
he was.
Because basically, I think Spider-Man would have protected this woman anyway.
Yeah,
Spidey, he's going to protect. That's what he does. But, it's like, you making time with my girl? Whack.
Well, and when he says that, what? Yeah, he says that, and it's like, wait a minute, somebody's going to put two and two together here.
I would have been more angry that he put a big hole in the wall of the room that I just got. Like, God dang it, man, I got to live here, and you put a hole in this wall.
Was it his room or her room?
It was his room because she was watching TV in his room, right?
Did he leave her there? Or did she?
That's what I thought, because he's like, I got to get out of there, man. I'm heating up. I got to calm down, swim through the city.
Makes it more interesting if it is his room, the old park your luck there again. Now, not only you lost your lady, now you lost another room.
That's a good question, though. I assumed it was his room, but maybe not.
I thought it was hers after, because he left and she went back to her room and then Namor crashed in and said, hey, what's going on? All in all, the story that's building up here, I think, is very good. I'm looking forward to see what happens next. And you got a new Frightful 4 Is this person going to stick around with them? Or is it just, the 4, we got them, oh, sorry, Sandman and Trickster or whatever that guy, Trapster or whatever, I
Paste
wonder.
Pot Pete.
I couldn't come off mute fast enough. Paste Pot Pete.
Paste Pot Pete, the Trapster. He likes that trap music. Got a cool vehicle he's floating around on too. Definitely.
Trapster's kind of cool. He used to be really lame, and they upgraded him to partially lame, at least. But Trapster has been around forever. He's never had like that super come up moment or anything like that. But like, even though there's one issue, I can't even remember which Spider where he beat Spider-Man. He embarrassed him. And like Spidey was kind of on the low, and he was arrogant. And he literally just walked into one of like Trapster's traps and was like stuck there for hours. It was like, yep, this is a new low. And I'm gonna do a little bit of Crusaders Club advertising really quick. Jason Keene just mentioned, even though we're not at the second feature of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles, Jason Keene says, by the way, if y'all want to conspire for fun picks for future backup issues, now's the time. I've been voting for Ghost Rider just for fun. Anyone else want to switch up from X-Men or keep making Jared read them? So I don't know. So what I'm saying here is, if you're listening to this live stream, if you want to drop $1 a month, go into the Crusaders Club, you get to help pick what the second issue that we're going to be covering is. And you might want to jump on the Jason Keene train and like vote for some Ghost Rider or something. Not personally, I don't have an issue with reading Uncanny X-Men. I can go right into my comic book room and get it. But just maybe somebody else wants to hear some other storylines on the second issue of the Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles besides X-Men, like we've been doing.
Well, and pointed this out. If we did Ghost Rider instead of X-Men, it would save each of us a good 45 minutes of reading. Just saying.
Look, I will say this much. I was rushing to read these issues. I was like, all right, I got 2 issues to read before the show comes on. Yeah. Read Amazing Spider-Man, and then I'm sitting there looking at the word count on Uncanny X-Men.
Skim it.
It was like 4:10, and a bead of sweat started forming. Like
the clock started sounding like the one on 24. Beep boom. Beep boom.
Oh no!
Sorry,
3 syllables. Oh
no! I derailed the show.
No, that's actually that's a good thing to bring up, and thank you, Jason, for doing that. And one thing I could suggest to you, Jason, is you can sign up with multiple accounts to this Crusaders Club for as little as $1 a month. $4 more if you want to give, you'll get you 4 more votes
per account.
Per account, yes, exactly. We definitely would love that, and it would help you out to choose what you'd like. But not saying you have to do it, but I'm just kidding. Definitely, thank you, Jason, for picking that out. With that, let's go ahead and get into some silly Spidey moments and find out what was funny and silly that Spidey did or someone in the story also did. And we'll go to Jared. What's your silly Spidey?
Well, Pat, truth be told, I usually have the Spider-Man issue on my iPad just off screen, and I pick it at that moment. My iPad died right before we recorded. It needs to be charged. But I got to go with my memory then, which I chuckled, not necessarily as anything he said or anything he did, but the fact that he was saved by a waterbed so firmly puts this issue in 1980. Like, it is the most 1980 outcome to be saved by a waterbed. That it made me laugh, and I'm picking that.
That is a good one as well, too. And I've had a waterbed. Anybody else here have a waterbed?
Never had one.
I never had one.
But never
have you slept on one? Okay. Have you at least tried it out?
I've tried it out.
It wasn't bad, but I had a hard time getting up and out of it. But that was definitely funny that they had a waterbed there in that one. Jason, what's your silly Spidey?
Same scene. I chuckled a bit when, as the building's coming down around his ears, he's wondering if they would lower the rent finally. So he could get a break on his rent.
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds like modern day problems. Like maybe we burned an apartment. Like, would they lower the rent a little bit?
Delvin, what is your silly Spidey?
It was a little somewhat dark, but I thought it was funny where like at near the end of the battle between Namor and Spidey, where Namor got the upper hand on him, and Namor's being all Namor-y and is like, "Have you any words in the seconds left to you? Do you wish to say anything before I finally put a finish to your meddling?" And Spider-Man was just like, "Yeah, go hug a rope." Like, dang, Spidey. That's a little dark. But the timing of it was funny. Usually Spidey has like some super wordy quip or whatever. It's like, "No, I don't like you right now. Go hug a rope."
I'm going to go with, it's a story development that's been going on, but it's also fun. And it's the singing cowboy. I like Jocelyn.
Yes.
It's like, oh man, I'm going to be, there's that guy. And he's like, I'm like, oh, is this guy going to be around?
Still don't know who he is either, Pat.
No, I don't. So I don't know who he is. Is he going to be somebody?
It's going to be that short dude.
Is it?
It was like, they keep putting like the tall dude with like the country stuff on.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I bet it's him, and it's not.
Definitely.
And just for you, Pat, the lyrics from the song was, "I was born in a garbage can because Mama married a sanitation man." Terrible lyrics.
You can sing it to the theme song of Spider-Man, though.
All right, let's hear it.
Born in a garbage can. I'm married a sanitation man. I wonder if that's by design.
Oh, that is interesting. See, even more layers.
Because I was born in the trash. Hey there, come the sanitation man.
See what you started, Jaron?
Oh, yeah.
Never wind up, Jason. I forgot the rules. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, speaking of,
I got my yardage because I was born with a lot of garbage.
Jason.
Sorry.
Speaking about winding people up, let's go ahead and get into the rating system and figure out what you guys rated this story. Again, it's a 1 through 5 rating here on the LBC. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It ruffled your tummy feathers. And we will start with Delvin.
1 to 5, I'm going to give it a 4. I thought it was good. The fight between Namor and Spidey sold me. I liked that Spidey, and it was kind of throwaway in a sense, but like Spidey, it's quintessential Spider-Man. It's like, look, yep, I'm chasing this bad guy, but look, I will sacrifice myself to save someone who will never even be appreciative or even know that I saved them, but I am going to do it. And use all of his smarts and athleticism and hero experience, prowess to do so. That was an awesome moment. That was a Spidey moment. So that plus Namor, not really worried about the Lyra thing. I honestly don't care, even though I know Frightful 4 is a long-time villain staple in the Marvel Universe. So that gets at least somewhat of a bump too. So it's a 4. It's really good.
All right. Jason.
I'm going to match Delvin's 4. I think the fight between Submariner and Spider-Man was easily worth my 2 1981 nickels rubbing together. I think that was worth the price of admission by itself.
That would get you in the club. Yep.
That would get me in the club. And as Delvin said, I really like that opening, rescuing the guy from the burning building. Really kind of grabs what is at the heart and soul of what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. And I think actually the Frightful 4 is the least compelling part of this story, but they're still entertaining. And there were some laugh out loud moments as Spider-Man's world is turned upside down because his building is burned to the ground. And now in a strange reversal of fortune, he's living in a Manhattan hotel. So lots of good stuff to like in this book. 4 from me.
We didn't really see them fight too much, the Frightful 4, right? So there's still got to be a butt whooping coming from that somehow, right? And probably between Spider-Man and Namor, so that's coming. So I'm looking forward to that. So all in all, this was a good story buildup with the continuation of what was happening from the last issue. You guys pointed it out too, the heart of Spider-Man right there. That's what a hero is, that selfishness, whatever it takes to save everybody else. And even if it's going to hurt him, and just in all ways of his life is what it happens to when you really look at it. Again, he can't catch a break in anything, but he's always got that spirit. That's why I wonder, I bet you his will or his spirit is a higher, his is probably 100 compared to Namor's, because Namor's to me would seem like he's more arrogant and selfishly, in a way. A little bit.
Namor always has the interest of Atlantis at heart. A lot of times I think that comes into conflict with his constant need to kind of prove how superior he is or Atlanteans are to earthbound human beings. So, because there probably is some way that he could have, I don't know, negotiated some peace treaty, but instead he's always popping off at the handle. And that always comes to bite him in the behind. So that makes him sometimes a hero or sometimes a villain. I think right now in Marvel, he's kind of more of a villain. I think that Spider-Man's whole whatever is more pure than Namor's.
Yeah.
Like both of them are similar, but Namor's takes them towards a dark path more often.
With that all said, I will give it a 4. So that just leaves Jarrett. What you going to do?
I'm going to give it a 3. It's a solid 3. Didn't feel the big payoff. So, yeah, I like it. It's not a sad 3. It's a happy 3. We'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, that's where I'm going to go.
All right. Well, before we end this talk about Spider-Man, we have to add in our new addition, and that is Karma Count. So let's find out, as we talked about these powers and what Spider-Man gets or Namor gets and all that, let's find out what our good buddy Albert Elvis thought about it and how many points he's going to give away in the Karma Count. Let's listen in.
I guess I'm your karma, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's nothing above it.
Hello, Crusaders. This is fan of the show, Auburn Elvis. Now, occasionally, the Longbox guys will wonder if superheroes can improve their strength by working out. Well, according to the 1984 Marvel superhero role-playing game, they can, but it takes a while. In the game, heroes gain and lose karma points for how heroic their actions are. Karma can be saved up over time and spent to improve a hero's ability scores. For example, if Spider-Man wanted to improve his strength of 40 to a 41, it would cost him 400 karma points. And to give you an idea of how long it would take to earn that much karma, let's do a karma count of Spidey's actions in this issue. Amazing Spider-Man 214 starts with a 5-point karma loss for some property damage in the fire, but Spidey gains 20 karma for rescuing Wino Charlie. Later in the story, Peter gets 5 karma for having a nice morning of television with the mystery tenant, which is sort of like a date. Still later, Spidey fights Namor and loses 10 karma for some property destruction, but gains 5 karma for some nice humor during the fight. I'm also going to give a 15 karma bonus to Spider-Man because he technically saved that mystery girl by fighting Namor. So, counting everything up, Spider-Man earns a total of 15 karma in this issue. That's not very much. In fact, Spidey would have to do this sort of thing 25 more times to gain enough karma to improve his strength from a 40 to a 41. I'm Auburn Elvis. Thank you very much for listening to this karma count. Play us out, Joe November.
I guess I'm your karma, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's nothing above it.
Thank you, fan of the show, Auburn Elvis, for giving us the karma count. Always fun to listen to that and hear those cool beats by Joe. That's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question? Send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com or make a comment on the Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook page. We will be right back.
Space, the final frontier. These are the recordings of the podcast Give Me That Star Trek. Its ongoing mission, to explore all of Star Trek, to seek out new guests and new opinions, to boldly go where many have gone before.
Give Me That Star Trek. A new episode every month, only at fireandwaterpodcast.com and on iTunes.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the second featured comic for this episode, which is determined by our Crusader Club members. Club members get to vote on this segment using the online poll only available on the Longbox Crusade page at patreon.com. As always, we want to thank our Crusader Club members for voting to help determine the programming of this show. If you want to get in on the voting and all of the other amazing benefits of being a Crusaders Club member, and that's all of the amazing benefits. Quite a lot has happened in the last week. Lots of posts going on. Just head on over to patreon.com and search for Longbox Crusade. You can join for as little as $1 per month and help determine what each episode's second feature will be. For this episode, the Crusader Club members selected Uncanny X-Men number 143. Here are some credits brought to you by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was Marvel. It's got a cover date of March 1981. Its on-sale date was December 16th, 1980. And the cover price was 50 cents. Editor was Louise Simon. Writer is Chris S. Claremont.
Esquire.
Penciler and plotter goes to John L. Byrne. Inker is Terry Austin. Letterer is Tom Orzechowski. And the Color Me Bad colorist is Glennis Ween. Woo! I don't know about you guys, but every time I read that and I look at the credits and see Glennis's name I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Makes me happy.
It's always a blast from the past. Like, if she ever leaves X-Men, change her name to Mike Esposito.
This is reprinted in the classic X-Men number 47, also as Essential X-Men Volume 2, X-Men 109 in 2001, X-Men Days of Future Past trade paperback, the Marvel Holiday Special trade paperback, and the Marvel Holiday Digest as well. Also, you can find this on Marvel Masterworks Volume 90 of Uncanny X-Men Volume 6 or Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 2. This is all
in the X-Men Words trade paper.
Yes, that too.
Save it.
With that, the cover was done by Terry Austin. And speaking about the cover, Jarrett, give us a cover description.
The Marvel Comics logo is black letters on a green banner. The corner box is chartreuse and contains the heads of Wolverine, Bishop, Colossus, Storm, Jonesy the Cat, Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, and Angel. The X-Men logo is yellow with red highlights, and it has the holiday enhancement of saying Merry Christmas, X-Men. The main action shows Kitty Pryde furtively moving through the the mansion on Christmas Eve. You can tell because of the trimmed Christmas tree in the background. Looming over Kitty, is a creepy xenomorph, demon monster, and a message from the Wayland Group. The cover blurb teases, guess what just came down the chimney?
Yes, I see what you did there.
I didn't get it. It was alien to me.
Thank you, Jarrett, for that comparison to aliens. I like that. Took me a little bit to get to it, but once you got towards the end, I'm like, oh, okay, I think I know what he's doing.
Nostromo definitely did it for me.
Nice.
I didn't know what that was.
That's the shit.
I didn't know where you're going with Bishop because there is a character Bishop in the X-Men.
Yeah, I was easing you into it.
When you said Jonesy the Cat, you had me. I was like, oh, here we go.
All right, well, let's get into some quick cover thoughts on this, and we will start with Jason. What's your thoughts on the cover?
I think this is a good cover. Really captures the Christmas spirit in that little Christmas tree that's kind of hidden in the left in the light. You've got the horror theme feel with the Nagari demon in that very menacing pose behind Kitty, showing how big and powerful it is, and the look of fear on her face as she holds the flashlight in the dark. So it really promises a suspenseful issue and a Kitty-centric issue, and I think that it delivers on that. So there's some truth in advertising.
Delvin, what's your thoughts on the cover?
It's a good cover. You already said who did the drawing on it, which was
Terry
not
Austin.
Mr. John. Yeah, it was not Mr. John Byrne. It was Mr. Terry Austin. And it makes me wonder why this man didn't draw more covers, because y'all, this is a good cover. It is simple. It is like that Ningari demon looks scary. Like, I think the only thing is I wish at this point Kitty Pryde had a more established outfit instead of like the trainer outfit. It could have been even better but she's sitting there. She just looks like a frightened girl, and this demon character is just over her looking all menacing and everything. It's simple, but it's dang good. I really enjoyed it. It is a sweet cover.
I'm going to agree with you on that, Delvin, as well, too. This is a really interesting cover. And as Jason said, with that just off to the side, you can see the Christmas tree in there. But then just the whole darkness that's happening, the arrangement of the layering of it with Kitty, and then behind her is the demon monster that's coming after her, and she doesn't know with the light. You can just picture this just all kind of being a horror show in a way that obviously it kind of was. Found it really interesting and makes me want to open it up to see what's going to happen. Jared, what's your thoughts on the cover?
I like it a lot, actually. Just like Delvin was saying, it's always neat to see the inker get a little shine. Most inkers can draw pretty decently well, and Terry Austin's definitely good. I've seen him do some Star Wars drawings as well, and he's just a talented guy. If we look at it from a broad spectrum, we've had Cochran and Byrne. I mean, these are like absolute legends. And for like Terry Austin to be able to slip in a couple covers here and there and nobody really notices, that's high praise indeed. So I got to go up the inker, get in the cover spot. Byrne was probably busy doing all these pages, and I know he was doing some. This is 80, so not yet, but he's going to get pretty busy. I know he did some Indiana Jones work in the 80s and some Alpha Flight work in the 80s. So yeah, they probably are lessening his burden by taking him off covers, but they're not missing a step, and that's what's great about it. And of course, I love the Christmassy Merry Christmas font. I'm a sucker for Christmas time, so it all comes together nicely for me.
It's an iconic cover. When you see this, you go, "Oh yeah, I can kind of know what's happening." If you've read it before, you've heard of the stories around in this time, so you would think it's a Byrne, but it's not. It's an Austin, and like you said, doesn't skip a beat on it. Speaking about not skipping a beat, let's go ahead and find out what we would rate this cover on our scale of 1 through 5. 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a baby. We'll start with Jason. 1 through 5.
I'm giving this one a 4. It's a coming of age story with Kitty Pryde into the X-Men. Not quite to the age yet where she's legal, Peter. Just throwing that out there. We'll talk about more. But this is a solid cover, and one that if you were a huge fan of Shadowcat, Kitty Pryde, that you probably would want to have on your wall. Definitely one you'd want to break out holiday season and hang up. So, 4 for me. Very good cover.
Jared.
I'm going to join my brother with that 4. I think it's great. I mean, if you're putting out a 4 and you're the inker, come on, that's like a 5, But yeah, 4. And I didn't mention this before, but good color scheme, good use of dark and light in the back room. Anyway, that time has come and gone. I'm giving it a 4.
Delvin, 1 through 5.
I'm at a 4 also. It's close. Like I would have been tilted of like I would have been influenced if people would have said 5 and then when everybody's about to get up, I could have said 5 and I wouldn't have felt too bad about it. But everyone did not get up. Everyone stayed in their seat. And so I'm okay with staying in my seat and giving it a 4, but a strong 4, like me lifting tires 4. It's that strong of a 4. Pretty strong. Real quick, just a few of the ratings from the live listeners. Kathy gave it a 4. Says much better than the last. Just wish the background color was a tad bit lighter to play off the dark monster better. Bot Boy Versus gave it a 5. Let's see. Jason King says great spooky cover. 4 out of 5. Auburn Elvis says it's a good Christmas cover, but I know there are better Christmas covers out there. Staghorn versus Lizard. So this cover gets a 3. Careful, Auburn Elvis. I might be influencing you a little bit with that. I know they're better covers. That's all I'm saying. Courtney gave it a 5, and Rick Heineken gave it a 4.
All right. Well, I am going to be also like Rick and give it a 4 and join you, Delvin, with some lifting tires. It's a strong 4. I really want to give it a 5, but I think it's the costume that if Kitty was maybe in a different costume, I think it's this one just kind of, I'm like, I'm so used to seeing her now, in the way she is now, but this old costume. So that's why I give it a 4. Strong 4. With that, let's go ahead and get into the story synopsis. And that is brought to you by Jason. Cyclops, Storm, Banshee, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Colossus, Children of the Atom, students of Charles Xavier, mutants, feared and hated by the world they have sworn to protect. These are the strangest heroes of all. These are the X-Men. Stan Lee presents the Uncanny X-Men.
This episode is titled Demon. The X-Men leave the mansion for a little Christmas Eve celebration, and young Kitty Pryde finds herself alone for the evening. Feeling a little homesick, she decides to work out in the danger room when suddenly the mansion is attacked by an Angari demon. Alone and outmatched, Kitty finds her powers and wits pushed to their limits as she battles the powerful creature in a battle for her own survival. Using her knowledge of the danger room, she overrides the safety protocols and hits the demon with everything it has. Wounded but still determined, the monstrous creature chases Kitty to the Blackbird, where Kitty dispatches the beast by incinerating it with the jet's powerful engines. The X-Men return to the mansion to surprise Kitty with a special Hanukkah present. They have brought Kitty's parents with them to visit. The X-Men are themselves surprised to find their danger room and Blackbird destroyed and extensive structural damage throughout the building. Yet Kitty is still alive, and her trial by fire is a resounding success. Back to you, Pat.
Thank you, Jason, for that excellent story synopsis. With that, let's go ahead and find out the bric-a-brac for this issue. Is it a first read or a reread? And we will start with Delvin.
Seems familiar. Seems like I have read it, but I don't remember reading it.
Did you ever watch Alien?
Yes, I have watched Alien. Rick Heineken was quick to mention that I have on Monday monthly movie Muckabout. I think it's a first read.
Okay. Jared.
I feel like it is also a first read, although in 1979, right before this comic was written, a movie came out. You know what? Never mind. We'll talk about it later.
Jason?
Well, in space, no one can hear you scream, but Pat, I think you're going to scream when I tell you it's a reread from me.
I kind of figured it would be. Yeah, it's a first read for me, but that doesn't matter anymore.
The counterpoint of doing this live stream is I can see the disappointment in his face when we don't get to Reading Rainbow.
Oh, I still love it.
The important thing, Jason, is that we still love you, regardless of how ridiculously disappointed we are in you.
Agreed, Delvin. Agreed. Yes.
Stupid literacy.
Ridiculously. I mean, if that was a power set, it would be a ridiculously amount of
otherworldly.
My karma count is feeble right now.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some high, lows, or what does for this issue, and we'll start with Delvin. High, low, or what the?
So before anyone gets into the the word count, before anyone gets into the alien parallels.
Hey. You've been reading my notes.
Well, you gave me a spoiler via text, and we've been dropping some hints here and there through the podcast. I want to give Chris Claremont some credit, and that credit is he did a very quick foreshadow of the Angari demons were so powerful that they took basically one of the most powerful X-Men to her absolute limit. And really, Storm was going to lose that fight, but they were going to drag her into the abyss. And as we know, Storm don't do abysses. You ain't dragging her into no abyss. No. And she had to I love how Claremont said that she basically like almost summoned the power of a sun to like destroy that monolith, that thing that was the connection point between the Ingari and Earth. So that was the type of effort that it was going to take in order to destroy one of these demons. And so sure enough, we knew that whatever Kitty Pryde had to come up with, she had to come up with something that was going to be almost as powerful as the most powerful storm lightning bolt, whatever that might be. That was good foreshadowing into like what was going on. I thought that was a very good story point.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in here with my high on this, and that was that story that was done. He's folding it back in from issue, was it 98 or I'd have to go look at the
it was an early one.
Yeah.
And going back, I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember that issue. So I like how it comes back that way and what he did there to then, as you said, this is a powerful foe. Kitty's the only one there that's going to have to deal with this thing. So I like that good beginning setup, and it got you back into the mind of Storm as well too. So Jarrett, what's your thoughts?
Well, I really like the idea of the story. I mean, I heavily suspect that this was written in late 80. So I'm betting that Alien came out in 79. I bet it had its network television premiere in 80. I think somebody watched it and decided, hey, I can make a comic out of that. And I don't slide him for it. I mean, I think it's a great idea, and it was a fun story. It's kind of like, any of those like Black Christmas, if you ever seen like those horror movies that are based around Christmas, it kind of felt like that. So it's got sort of this kitschy fun vibe to it. So it's got the Christmassy vibe. It's got that horror movie vibe. And I'm all over all of that. So I like that. I like the concept. The execution, again, I don't know why Chris thinks he has to cover every page with words. It takes too long to read a cat and mouse monster story. It just does. It's her narrating everything she does. And I'm not big on it. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, I finished it and I thought it was good, but it's just like, man, Chris really was getting paid by the word or something. I'm not sure, but it was distracting from what was a really good, lean solo X-Men stories and a relatively new X-Men story too. A chance to expand upon Kitty. I'll leave it for there on round one.
Jason, high, low, or what the?
I think surprisingly, I'm going to be the harshest critic of this book. I really kind of suspected that Jared was going to come out swinging hard.
We have a second round. I mean, I've got something in the chamber.
Okay. Well, Kitty Pryde is an iconic X-Men, and one that Chris Claremont obviously has a lot of fondness for. And I'm thinking of Kitty Pryde and Wolverine limited series and several of the story arcs he's done with her as the center of attention. This issue is designed to tell the reader that she is a formidable character, worthy of being an X-Man in her own right, even though she's only 13 years old. And I get what he's trying to do. The problem that I have with it is that he takes so many shortcuts. This is a story that demanded his attention, that demanded the utmost in his creativity, and he was obviously heavily influenced by Alien to the point where he's like, where's the last Alien I had? That Ingari demon. So let me just say one of them survived somehow. And now that Kitty's alone in the house, we'll just throw that in there. And Bob's your uncle. Now she's, this is her coming of age story. And I just feel like Chris Claremont ripped Kitty Pryde off of a good origin story. Now, he told it in a compelling way. I'm not saying that I'm going to totally poo-poo the book, but to me, this should have been iconic, and it's not because he shortcutted it.
All right. Thank you, Jarrett, for the... Jason, thank you. Thank you for this.
That's funny.
I don't know if that was intentional or a Freudian slip, but it's funny.
A little bit of B. I do appreciate your take on that, which is nice to have because, you being a resident X-Men fan as well, too, of the lore and all that is Chris Claremont. So I do appreciate that take on it. Let's go ahead and go into round 2. Back to Delvin. You got another high, low, or a what the?
I actually have a question. Jason, why is it a ripoff to you? Why do you feel that her origin story was ripped off?
No, this coming of age story is what I'm saying is it was obviously heavily influenced by Alien, even the way that she dispatched the creature. To me, this deserved a unique story, not something that was obviously just a way to quickly get this Christmas issue out and borrowed heavily from somebody else's work.
Okay. I just wanted to hear a little bit more about that. I will add that at the start of it, while, Chris usually is good at giving characterization or updates on most people on the team, it was kind of a setback. I'll give it a what, though. It was kind of a setback where Wolverine was like, hey, here's my chick. Yeah. And Nightcrawler was like, hey, how's it going, chick? And Wolverine's like, I'll kill you.
Yeah. That was weird.
I'm kind of like Spider-Man. What are you doing beating up on my girl? Wait a minute.
Yeah, bro, calm down. He just gave her a peck on the cheek. He wasn't trying to take her up to his room or anything like that.
And he knew her too. It's like they were familiar with one another. It wasn't like coming out of the blue. And
it wasn't like angels kissed the Jean Grey like, what's up, girl? How you doing? To where if I were Scott, I would blast his useless butt off the side of that mountain. It wasn't like that. He was just being like, this Nightcrawler is his friend. He was being friendly to his girlfriend and not like friendly in a weird way, just a peck on the cheek. Come on, man. So that's my what the.
Jared, high, low, or what the?
Yeah, again, you're going to see him give the score won't be so bad on this book, but it's almost a low for this era. I just feel like, I don't know this for a fact, but I don't think Chris Claremont had kids, at least at this point. And it's the Kitty Pryde 13 thing. It doesn't fit in so many ways. Kissing Colossus on the cheek and being all flirty and calling him sexy and stuff like that's a 13-year-old girl. That's not, I don't like it. And that, it's easy to point at that and say that's 13-year-old girl in the romantic relationship with Colossus and all that. And it's icky, and I just don't like it. But in a broader sense, the whole issue is her narration in her mind of what's going on. And no 13-year-old thinks like that. I don't care how gifted or smart you are. I was in the talented and gifted program when I was 13, and I was a moron too. I mean, the two things can happen at the same time. It's just, yeah, it's just, I don't like the whole decision at all to even have a 13-year-old on the team. It's irresponsible. I don't know. It's that one. It's the elephant in the room that I have to look past every time I read X-Men comics of this era. It just kind of sits there. That elephant's like, oh, hey, Jared. And I'm like, hi, elephant. And he's like, yeah, she's still 13, doesn't talk like a teenager, doesn't act like a teenager, doesn't think like a teenager. I don't know. It's a bugaboo that I have to pretend it doesn't exist. So I'll clear the decks on that. I will make a solemn Longbox Crusade promise that I won't bring up, well, the ickiness might come back, but I won't bring up Kitty Pryde being 13 and just be written way too advanced for her age again on the show. I'll clear the decks on it, but I'll circle back and say, hey, I still like the idea of the book, and it was a fun read, a little wordy, but it was still a good idea, and I could definitely see me reading this book at Christmas and enjoying it.
Do you think that Kitty's age was brought in to help bring in a little bit younger crowd into the X-Men so they would feel a little bit relatable?
Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. Is this about the time that Teen Titans is taking off and being very popular? Because that could be.
It is, but see, here's the thing. You remember, of course, in the 70s, like they introduced these black characters, and nearly all the black characters were like strong. And that was really
out there flipping tires and stuff.
Sweet,
sweetness, and saying things like "sweet Christmas." It's funny, and of course, it's somehow classic and has made it through. Like, honestly speaking, having grown up with a family full of black people and relatives who are all black, ain't none of us ever said "sweet Christmas." That's not a thing that black people say.
What?
I know. I'm glad.
I'm waiting for years to hear you say it, Delvin.
I'm glad you were sitting down when I said that. And the reason why I'm bringing that whole point up is it's one thing to introduce a character or characters. It's another one to accurately represent them. So if you are like Jared and you're reading this, however many years later, 40 years later, and you're like, ain't no 13-year-old talks like this, then they didn't really do an accurate job of representing what a 13-year-old was. So Chris Claremont just said, I am going to write a 13-year-old character, and not that I'm actually going to go out like, Brian Michael Bendis did years later when they said, dude, your Ultimate Spider-Man dialogue, it sounds so real and authentic. How are you able to get such real, authentic language? And he's like, I go to the mall and listen to him talk.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy. Avant-garde. But it was. And this was like 2000. It took a long time for them to say, well, you know what? Maybe we should just listen to the source of people that we talk to. And so maybe at that time that Chris Claremont would have done better to maybe find someone who did have a 13-year-old daughter and sit there and just have conversations with the 13-year-old and get an idea of how 13-year-olds think. And it could have been a more accurate representation.
I think, too, to Jared's point, and I saw somebody, or it's Albert Elvis, he said, how old were the original X-Men? They were high school age when they were on the team. And I think that's, there's one thing to train kids who are feared and hated by a lot of the public on how to use their powers responsibly and how to survive if they have to. I think that's one thing. And I think one of the things that I find myself as an X-Men fan really questioning Charles Xavier is it's quite another to militarize him and send him into combat. Exactly. That's kind of a line right there. And you can kind of blur that line when they're high school kids like 17, 18, 19 years old. But when it's a 13-year-old girl, there's a difference between intelligence and emotional intelligence. And your decision-making ability doesn't really lock in until you're in your mid or late 20s. Your impulsivity is always there. And I don't care how smart she is, that impulsivity is gonna be there in that kid until that frontal brain develops over time. And there's nothing you can do to accelerate that. That's just time. So I guess that's a kind of a really deep dive into me saying, I kind of agree with what Jared's saying. That 13-year-old thing has really been a bugaboo to me with Kitty Pryde as an X-Man.
I want to back up what Jason said to keep this conversation going. Because some people might be quick to point to Spider-Man. He was 16 when he started. But the difference there is Spider-Man made his own decisions and eased into who he was. Whereas, like Jason said, the thing that bugs me about this is Professor Xavier is weaponizing children. And going back to those early issues, remember he had a thing for Jean when she was 15, 16? Yeah, it's just the elephant in the room of X-Men.
I want to add something, too, like with Spider-Man, keep in mind, he was a teenager when he started. He made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, good point. He kind of acted like a teenager.
He did. He very much so did act like a teenager. I mean, the first main decision that he could have made, the first thing that he thought of when he got these powers was, for better or for worse, like, I can get rich off of this. And then he had a chance to stop a burglar. It was like, no, that's your problem, cop. I ain't got nothing to do with that. So
how'd that turn out?
Not very well. But sure enough, that's either a young person or a very immature adult response. This doesn't affect me right now. So I'm not going to do anything about it. See ya. Even though I had the power to do something about it, I could have literally just taken 2 steps and grabbed them and got that dude thrown in the clink. Nah, doesn't bother me. So yeah, I agree with that. I think that or another example would be Impulse, the DC hero. And I remember collecting issues of Impulse, and Batman was the one that named Bart Impulse. And they asked him why. And he's like, it wasn't like I wasn't trying to give him a name. It was a warning because he is too impulsive and he is going to just simply get himself into trouble or get someone that he loves killed because of his action. So food for thought.
Definitely great conversation on this
deep
one.
Talk
Definitely,
portion of the episode.
I'm going to just kick in here and change it a little bit and talk about the artwork in this one. I really enjoyed it. Again, Byrne at the top of his game in this one, just to make that alien look scary, and some of the panels that are used to give you that intenseness that's happening. Especially that last one where the arm is kind of ripping out after Kitty, and then they cut to several hours later. Yeah, I was like,
great cliffhanger.
What happened? It would, I was like, oh man. So I really enjoyed the artwork. Again, it helps with the story development. With that, let's go to Jason. Do you have a high, low, or what the?
Well, I've said a lot. I guess I'll just do my second one as a high, even though, as I indicated, Chris Claremont, I think, kind of phoned this one in a little bit and borrowed heavily off of the work of Alien. He does it in a compelling way. And even when he phones it in, he does a really good job of scripting out good action and suspense elements. Even if you think it's too wordy, Jared, I still think using the danger room was really cool, and really tying it back to what she was learning and studying at the beginning of the issue. Just, okay, here's the operating sequence on how you start the engines on the Blackbird and how that comes in at the end to actually save her life. One of the things that I really like about the X-Men is that they stress that this isn't just about their powers. It's the hours they put in, physically training, mentally training, going over procedures on everything. And they push themselves to the limit, and you see it pay off in this issue. So hats off to Chris Claremont for that piece of it. I'm a little all over the place as far as my love or lack thereof of Chris Claremont, but overall, I think this was a fairly decent issue.
I agree with you. I think Chris's look at, it's important to stay physically fit. Why she was like, why do they work out? We got powers, Well, when you get chased all around the house by a monster, it's going to come in handy, Just to underscore, Jason, I like that holistic view, learn the tech of the Blackbird and all that. So, yes, I'm not going to restate what Jason said, but I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
Well, you would think, couldn't Xavier just kind of, here's a memory dump of this stuff that I'm going to put into your mind, or, you know what I mean? But he doesn't. He is making them learn this stuff and making them do their physical stuff as well, too. So, again, he can do probably all that, but he's building a team, but it's interesting to see that when you think about it, it is actually them learning the stuff and physically doing the stuff. And the professor was just there to kind of help guide them along and come in there whenever they need a hand that, hey, this is the way I'll control Professor, come in and take care of this all, which he does all the time. Lots of things to talk about and look into on the X-Men. All right. Well, I think with that, why don't we go ahead and find out who went the extra mile in this issue?
Kitty, next.
Is anybody else going to choose
Sigourney Weaver?
Oh, Mariko. She traveled all the way from Japan.
So I think we are all in agreement on this one. Then it is going to be Kitty Pryde. Kitty gets it for going the extra mile. Although, I was thinking Storm too, just because of that flashback, man, what she gave and did.
Ridley Scott.
I had the thought when Storm did her thing. I don't think that there has, in the history of heroes fighting heroes, even in X-Men, has Storm ever fought Jean Grey? And if so, I'm just saying, could you imagine? Because Storm at her most pissed offness.
What if she got the Phoenix power? Ooh.
They've had her get with Stormbringer, which is like a Asgardian hammer. It's not Mjolnir. They've had her with that, where Stormbringer was just calling out to her because of her powerful man. Storm with Phoenix powers, and if she didn't let them go, oof. Yeah, my girl's powerful. She is powerful.
All right. Well, with the extra mile all the way, let's find out what we want to rate this issue. As a reminder, we have a 1 through 5 rating system here. And 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from.
Oh.
4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a baby. Let's start with Jason. 1 through 5 on this one. Where are you going to set the bar?
I wanted to love it, but I did like it, so I'll give it a 3.
Ooh. All right. The bar is set in the middle there. Delvin, where are you at?
I'm sorry. I was just recoiling at Jason's story. I know. I composed myself. I got myself back. I want to say this much. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? So not too long before this, Star Wars came out. Okay, so how many times in movies was Star Wars mimicked after then? And how many times in comic books was Star Wars mimicked? James Bond. How many times has James Bond been mimicked?
Enough to the best ones get a 3.
I'm not trying. This isn't yours, Jason. You rate whatever you want to rate. I'm simply just making a statement. The greatest things have often been mimicked, and sometimes mimicked to perfection. Sometimes just, comes across as a crappy offshoot. I'm not going to punish this storyline for it. I thought it was really good. I thought that in order for Kitty Pryde to survive against this insanely powerful creature, she had to use all of her cunning and knowledge that she had learned so far as an X-Men. And we got to see how much of a survivor that you have to be in order to be an X-Men. And I thought that is very good storytelling to me. I give it a 4.
I am also going to join you at 4 Island as well on this one. So we will find out from Jarrett 1 through 4 or 1 through 5.
yeah. You know where my cap is for X-Men. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm at a 3. It's a 3 for me, but right. It's an easy 3. I like it. I'm not taking out any points for the alien mimicry. I'm taking away points for the overwordiness that hides some of the gorgeous art that didn't need to be there, and just that Kitty Pryde 13 thing. I'm not going to go into it again. Just it's not good writing of a 13-year-old. But the story overall was fun and the art was good. It's an easy 3. It's a 3 with a smile on my face.
2 smiling 3 or 2 cool guys with the 4s. We'll see what the chat has said.
Courtney gave it a 4. Auburn Elvis also gave it a 4. Rick Heineken gives it a 4 as well. And Jason King was interested to see if we'll get any lower than 4. We did.
That's what's nice about doing these shows is you get a variety, and sometimes they match somebody, or sometimes it hits with somebody, sometimes it doesn't, but doesn't mean it's not going to fight you over them. We're just going to love you all the same, because you know what? We're all reading the same comic book and having some fun. And speaking about having fun, we want you to let us know what you think of this show. You got a comment or a question? What's your thoughts on this issue? We want to know about it and hear it. And you can do that by sending us a voicemail that we will play on the show later on. Leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm. We'll be right back.
Hello, ladies. Listen to your man. Now listen to me. Now listen to your man. Now listen to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped downloading lame podcasts and switched to Two True Freaks, he could learn to sound like me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on the Enterprise with a man your man could sound like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's a long box filled with comics that you love. Look again. The comics are now episodes. Anything is possible when your man listens to Two True Freaks and not lame. I'm on a tauntaun.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the feedback part of the show, where we share your comments, emails, questions, and shares in a segment called Crusader Comments. We're thrilled to kick off these comments with special shout outs to our Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks that have joined our crusade. They enjoy early access to special Longbox episodes, voting to help determine show content, and so much more. So these are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
And Helica Wolf.
Auburn Elvis, thanks for joining us today.
Bill Beer.
Blasted or Stash It.
Braxton Underwood.
Captain Entropy.
Clinton Robinson.
Dave Collins.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
Gerald Green.
Jason Keene in the chat.
Jason Lady.
Jeremy L.
Oh man, I never get them. It's so weird. I'm so used to hearing Jason or Jared get this. Jim Jarman. And I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
Jim Meal.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Captivating Kathy Bright. Thanks for joining us.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traver.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devins.
Paul Hicks.
Rick of Jeff and Rick Present. Thanks for being here today, Rick.
Rob Morgan,
Ryan Daly,
Samantha Maney,
Sean Urbanski,
Spidey 67,
Steve Cronin,
Spreadsheet,
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington.
and Toronto Cop.
If we missed anyone on our list, we apologize. Keep in mind that we record these episodes well in advance of release. So if you're a recent addition, we should be adding you soon. No worries. Just let us know we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com and we will get it straightened out. As a reminder, you can become a Crusaders Club member by heading over to patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. Come check it out. Don't have any extra scratch lying around, but still want to help us out here at LBC headquarters? Please take a moment to write a review on Apple Podcasts for this podcast. Even if you just want to keep it short with just star ratings, it helps raise the profile of the show, and we will share your review on the next show. We are going to discuss social media shares and retweets from Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles, episode 67. That was talking about September 1980's Amazing Spider-Man 211 and Uncanny X-Men 140. And again, just as a quick reminder, we do retweets now and comments. Is that correct?
That is
Shares,
correct.
retweets, comments. That'll get you there.
Shares, retweets, and comments will get you mentioned on this section. We just keep it a little bit shorter now. We get a decent amount of likes now, which we are always grateful for and appreciate. But we just shortened the list to the retweets and comments.
Before I start us off, I want to challenge everybody to see if we can get 10 retweets or shares on this episode when it comes out. So don't forget to reshare this episode. You'll get in the raffle that I'll grab something from my stuff off here and I'm going to give it to you. Let's see if we can get to 10. And speaking about people that like and reshare it, we'll start off with Scott Cameron.
Tim Price,
Fan Film Fridays.
Doc Strange, Billy Delicious.
Jim Meal.
and Anton Massapus III.
Gave you the easy one, Jason. And let's see. Do we have it? Yep, we got a few comments here. I will read one from longtime friend of the show, Ross Michaud.
Oh, man, I want to hear Pat read this so bad.
Okay, I will not do that then. I will.
No, you need to do it. It's going to be way too hard.
I see the word.
Okay. Ross says, sorry to make a kerfuffle, but you poutine me on. Mr. Maple Syrup is a low blow. Bet your fellas really had to flex those Molson muscles, took in liberties with a Canuck icon. Are you hosers a few toonies shy of being loony? Take off, with a picture of Vindicator pointing. That costume is sweet. I will forever love that costume. So I guess he must have said something to tick Canadian Daredevil off. I'm not quite sure what it was, but we're sorry in advance.
Sorry. We're sorry.
Sorry.
I'll take one from Scott Cameron, and Scott says, fitting that we get a Namor comic with Wakanda Forever recently coming out.
I'll pick up one from Marco Ferrara, who said, this era Spider-Man has a lot of great guest stars.
And I'll take one from David Blaskovitz. Anybody got a better pronunciation on that than me?
Pat? Okay, no, we don't.
I prefer to call it Black Sakura with...
From David B. David B says...
Dr. Galakowitz? Sorry.
I'll take it from David B. And he says, Spidey kicks Namor's butt, period. All right? He sure did just go off swinging on this one. He was like, what's up, Namor? Whap!
I saw you looking at my girl.
Let's fight.
Namor pulled a Dr. Watson from the Sherlock, like, oh, okay. That's what we're doing today? All right.
I was going to come up on him and do a Rambo.
Let me get my butt whipping gloves on. Come on, let's go. Okay. I'm the one holding this up now. As a reminder, everyone, you can leave us a voicemail that we just might play on the show. We'll play it. Just send us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX. Gentlemen, I got it. I haven't sung one yet. I'll do this one. Pick up the phone.
Oh, Sweet Christmas. That was so good.
Yeah, I know. I wanted that solo, and I appreciate you guys letting me have it. Thank you to everyone for the likes, shares, follows, and comments. We appreciate your friendship and help in spreading the word about this podcast.
And that's the show. Be sure to check out the website longboxcrusade.com, where posts will be made for journaling this crusade. I want to thank Jarrett, Jason, and Delvin for joining me this episode, along with everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Your comments that fly by here, man, it's fun, and we really appreciate it, and we like the chat within the chat. That's a chat going on. So thank you guys for building that awesome community out there. We really do appreciate it, and it means so much to us. Before we go, let's find out where the listeners can find us on the internet, and we will start with Delvin.
Find me on Twitter, DEE_RAY1977, and on Instagram, Delvin Ray. What about you, Jason?
Well, I'm dipping my toe into the Instagram. You can find me there at Jason Albrick. What about you, Jared?
I am at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my artwares at www.theyardsaleartist.com. Pat.
Well, Jared, I am glad you asked. You can find me on the Twitter at Christatos01. And if you want to interact with us via live chat, just like you are right now, and be entered to win some free stuff, just like you will pretty soon, come on over to the Longbox Crusade on YouTube and subscribe to our shows. We do a live stream every month. It's the second Sunday of every month at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. We also do come out to play with Delvin and Jared and many guests that join them on that as well, too. So lots of stuff happening on the YouTube. We want you to like and subscribe as much as you can to help us build our audience up here as well, too. And we do appreciate it. Thank you all for listening, and we hope you have enjoyed this episode of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles. You got a comment or a question? Email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com or leave a comment on the Longbox Crusade Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page at Longbox Crusade. Until next time, take care, and please join us on the next episode as we continue on the crusade to
Read them all.
The intro music is provided by musical genius Joe November.
Check out his SoundCloud at JOSEFLIN99. You won't regret it.
All songs, song clips, and characters discussed are copyright of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. We are just fans that like to share our love of comics.
Outtakes.
Start it.
It starts.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Rock your body.
Yeah.
I'm back up, Pat.
Huh?
Huh?
What?
Jason's not even playing along.
I don't even know the song, so I don't know.
Hey, everybody. Pat, entertain everybody. Let them know what we're going to do. I'm going to go grab a Diet Grape-A-Co out of my fridge.
Oh,
Okay.
I like those grape Picos.
Maybe you'll be recording when I get back. Who knows? All right. People in the chat, it's your job to make sure that they don't talk crap about me while I'm gone. Or at least if it's funny, then it's okay. But if it's not funny, then you got to call them on it.
We're going to wait till
I
he's
think
gone.
Jared's-
Okay.
I
Is he
think
gone?
Jared's giving people a lot of stuff to do.
I
And-
know. You notice he's kind of bossy. He's kind of bosses us.
Right?
around, too.
You know, I'm like, when I leave, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Blah, blah, blah.
Jason
He just says that so we
Jason
do
edit
talk
that.
about him. It's like he thinks he's all important and all. And he wants people to talk about him.
Yeah, he thinks
And
he's
he's
the
like-
leader. He's like, I'm always the Leonardo. I'm the Leonardo.
Oh, look at me. I got grape Coca-Cola. Look at me.
Coca-Cola because I'm special.
He's so vain. He probably thinks, hey, Jared.
Hey.
There's our boy.
Yeah, we missed you.
Hey, what are we going to do without our fearless leader? We just
I don't know. Like, just drown. It's, so glad he's back.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and get into Jared's favorite part of the show, talking some X-Men.